You are an instrument. You're an instrument. Okay, so the tantric practices, tantra means to weave, and there's also, it's also expressed to mean literally like instrument. So, in the way that let's say the Kundalini energy rises up the spine, similarly, so does that energy is moving up the chakra systems. And so the complete system has the physical kriya practices where you're moving, and that in itself is a complete system to work with all of the 10 bodies, which I just learned there's an 11th white body. And I'm really excited. There's just these, what's so cool about these tantric practices is that like they're still being uncovered. Like there's sweet old books that are being dusted off as we speak that are like unveiling these like teachings, and it's just really cool to be like alive right now, to yeah merge. Anyways, so the complete system in the tantric practices include sound, and I'm finding the more that I'm teaching this is that we are so comfortable with our own sound current and taking up space, like even simply just breathing in a lot of my yoga classes, like it I will like exaggerate my breath just to like make people feel more comfortable to like just simply like it's tragic. So I, as this channel grows, I want to kind of have some foundation to express. We'll definitely have a lot more practices, but I think that I kind of have to kind of give a little bit of ethos and explanation to how to access using your own sound current and being more comfortable with breathing and using mantra. So one of the limbs of yoga is, the physical asana practice, but the complete system here includes pranayama practices, which is breathing practices, mantra, and yantra is also not always practiced, I noticed, which is the visualization. It's just working with symbols. So, wait, before I go into yantra, mantra is using sort of reoccurring beautiful poems often, but you get your mind in sort of hypnosis because you're repeating something to yourself that is really holds a big charge to it, because over time sound current, like it builds like energy. Like, okay, so like you in a club and like the latest song pops off, everybody gets this energy, this collective energy, and so it has like a charge. So you can think of this as like a charge that is like holy, and has been practiced and intentionally practiced by ancient people for this time period, like to charge up for now, to prepare people now. This is a technology I'm sure you've heard of, like the Aquarian age. So this is a very prophesized time to be alive for, in many different cultures and philosophies and religion or not, I've always been saying that this is a time that has a lot of energy. So how can we be vessels that can allow that energy to come through us, but also like use it and harness it and not waste it? Like if we can't hold all the energy in our aura, so it's like getting high, like when you ride up and then you fall back down, and that is the journey of life. There's always death and rebirths. But if we have a practice, then we have more prana in our systems, all of our bodies, and we can maintain, and then our energy's not leaking. And so the mantra practice is what I find a lot of people are so uncomfortable with. Really quick though, I want to say yantra is the visualization practice, and this is another space where like the third eye, I think there's a lot of misconceptions about how powerful that is too. And the space of the mind, like two things to say, like killing the ego, like no, like use it for you. That could be your best friend. Like that's your problem solver. It's just when it's overactive and it's not being used for you. It's in control. Then that's when there's trouble. So, and then the other thing too is when you're too in the feminine of the third eye realm, then it's just craziness and you're tripping out and looking at things. But like the psychic landscape is full of imaginings, and sometimes they're the collective's imaginings too, so it's not even necessarily your business, and so we just kind of need to let that like pass by, so right in the middle of the yantra practice is visualizing a symbol. And it's also not as practiced because those symbols are revealed to you often. Like it's something to use that again has like more of a personal kind of guiding light to it, such as like the mantras are collectively practiced, and you can choose sort of a mantra to like focus on and build a relationship with it. And like when you're in times of trouble, like that, your brain, you've built that neural pathway to bring yourself back to center. Like a mantra will just start like playing, and it'll be like, I'll be like nervous or something, and then like a protection mantra will just kind of like come in my mind, and I'm like, thank you. So together we have this complete system, and it's sort of a chariot, a vehicle to take you deeper into the self. And then when we get into the self, we find out the self is that collective. And so it's a beautiful ride. It's a journey in and out. And so how can we harness appropriately and purely all the light that is currently on this beautiful earth here? How can we bring more heaven and bring more of the earth up? Like that's the other thing, is like this approach that you're listening to the body's wisdom to determine. So yes, we have this practice where we're learning, and especially Kundalini, it's like actually one of the hardest for me as a teacher, a challenge, because you want to honor the practice, and so you want to teach it specifically. These teachings are written down for and intended to withhold that synergy. And so again, to not leak the energy, especially at like guiding a class, like I gotta kind of stick to the rules, and I prefer flow. So it's great in that way, but also using the body's wisdom. So if a kriya is making you not feel comfortable, then you sit and breathe slowly and let you listen to the body's wisdom. And it's really important to have your own personal practice too, because in your personal practice, you could be doing, a kriya in class when you have guidance, like you're, often going to push yourself, and that is good to find those edges and soften them and work through them, and find bliss on the other side and all that good stuff. But when you're practicing, like for instance, this morning I did my sadhana together, but on Zoom instead of coming to my studio, which is awesome that they even have practice at all at 4:30 at a studio. Anyway, so because I was in this comfortable space, it allowed me to get more into the subtle body. In the subtle body, we can have way more releases and we feel safe. So that's nice. And sometimes we don't always want to like cry or something with your classmates. So there's so much to having a practice for yourself. And when we are filling up our own cups, then we can actually help other people. Like when we give from an empty cup, you can't actually hold that energy, just like in the practice in the aura. So back to sound. To listen to the sound, to not a lot of us listen to ourselves in the mind of like how other people are hearing our sound currents. And so that journey has got to go in the body. And so when you're practicing your mantra, you're actually just trying to feel a vibration. And you can see that you're an instrument. Like this has bones, this sternum. It's really dense and heavy. And so too, it can hold a lot of capacity of energetic weight. The chest, the lungs, Chinese medicine wise, and Ayurvedically speaking, we're matching here that the chest can hold worry. And so when you're worried, you can't extend the radiance of love. So here's the density, right? So we have the physical and the subtle body, the emotional mixing here. You get lower on your body, on your arms, it makes different sounds. And please do this with me. You can wake up your meridians, going down the arms, up the arms, tap the back of the neck, the throat. And so if you go to like the down lower, or even your belly or the back body, then it sounds not as hard. So in the belly, we can really fill up with air, and it feels good. Good down on or tap on the legs and the knees, back, side. Have some fun. But anyway, when you're trying to feel your sound current in your body, you're thinking of the shape. That's even a body yantra practice, is thinking of the shapes of the body. So we have a triangle on top pretty much, and a triangle kind of on the base, our tree trunk legs, and then the limbs, right? Extension. The head, which is often forward on a lot of us. Me too. So lining up the vertebrae. It's going to make the lungs their best ability to open and expand. And then the belly is this beautiful airbag to push the sound out. And so when we're doing our ohms, and we can play with where that sound is. So if we are in the belly space or in the hip space, the sound, the compression of air, it's actually a lower sound, such as the root is, such as the earth is, or the sound wave. It would just be slower if we were to look at it. And so we are making a slower wave come out of your current by kind of channeling the current in. So you have this feedback loop when you're doing this sacred act of just even speaking. And excuse me. When we're channeling or singing or mantraing, talking, explore it. So if your ohm's down here, it's om. I'm feeling it really low. And in the same light, you can, in the same breath, move it higher. So I can be om. Now we're like in the higher space. And so that will literally clear out your own energetic system with your own current. And it took a second. How empowering is that? So vibrationally, you're making your own tone, and it's rippling out from the inside. So it's pushing out density that might be an unconscious block per se, or it's just thinking too much. All of a sudden you have your ears, your mind listening to your body. Your muscles have to get involved. And so now you're not thinking about whatever your problem was, right? And we reset our nervous system. The vagus nerve runs up and down the body too. So anytime we're just aware of our midline, our freeway, our nervous system is like, oh yeah, hey, logged on. And when that's logged on, you have more feedback. So like are you aware right now of the inside of your hand? What does that feel like? And just traveling in the body, just bringing awareness into the body. Same thing when we're using our sound current. Are you aware of the hollowness, the emptiness that you can feel in your center here, and the depth of compression It could be really nice to sense that. And so to mantra, we're repeating something. And that, someone once said to me, someone I love very much, so not saying it in a negative way, but they observed monks in I think it was more like a Catholic situation, but they were saying their prayers and they were repeating it. And his take was that like they must get lost, they'd lose God in that because the connected to spirit, because it's so monotonous, it's like routine. And I agreed in that moment. But then I realized later, I'm like, wait, I'm doing the same thing in my mantra practice. But actually, you build a relationship with it. And because now your body knows the current, it can like, and it, om, 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 or om namo, om namo, om namo, om namo. You build a current. And so then the physical body is sort of like autonomic, it's just happening. So then your sensing body, like where your awareness is, it can go deeper. So now you're really able to listen to your sound current. The other thing that will trip you out is like you can be repeating something, fully activate it, and the more you practice, it actually gets harder to focus. You're like, wait, how am I doing 5 things at once and I'm still thinking about like I want to make Brussels sprouts later, like so like so it is a deepening of the practice aspect, like the discipline. You're like, no, I mean, shut up. Why, Guru? But even that, it's like if you repeat anything that has like a beautiful sound current, like Amen or like Hallelujah is one of my favorites. So that connects me to like the lineage of my heritage, and that is a sacred sound. And or even just repeating love, you're building a neural pathway. And when the mind has a job, right, and the psyche, the imagination, your connection to the upper chakras or the ethereal realm, it's soul soup. It is manifest, like form unmanifested, and it doesn't necessarily see the difference between like what is in the physical reality of yours and what's not. So like if you're repeating to yourself love, 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 and like making that current, you bet the universe is going to be attracting more of that to you, because you are making a feedback loop in this process. You are connecting to all that you are, which is essentially all that is. And so this is why I put so much time and faith into the Kundalini technologies. Not because I have a guru and we are the guru. Guru means from light to dark. Okay, so like it is going into your depths through like sitting and staring at your palm for 22 minutes and breathing into it on 11:11. It was like a set I did with one of my teachers that I really, really, really admire. And like you have to look at yourself, like things come through. And then at the end, we're relaxing and it's 11:11, make a wish, right? And I'm thinking like what I want this year, and I'm like, I'm gonna travel. Literally the next week, it's like I was like all these opportunities. And so like because like you clear energy, you do this discipline, this thing that doesn't make sense, like sitting in a dimly lit room, repeating to yourself, Om Namo Guru Dev Namo, Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. If you don't know how like the benefits feel, it's just like, what are you doing? And like so I thought I would explain a little bit why I believe in it and why or how to feel more into yourself, and not to be afraid of making and taking up space. Like that's really what it is. Like when people are don't want to make a sound of their breath, or ujjayi, like that restriction breath that a lot of practices use, it's taking up space. That's what it is. It's the fear of who, the person next to me might hear me, or you're so in your thought you're not even like listening to, you're not breathing, or you're not breathing because you're like stuck in your chest or whatever. Like there's so many reasons, but it's usually unconscious. And so we can bring it into the conscious awareness by simply just like listening to your own breath. Like your own sound current is healing, way more healing to your vessel, your temple, than mine or anyone else's. That is your direct line to your, your atma, this is the temple in the energetic body of yours. See what I'm saying? So like there's electricity running through you that makes your muscles twitch, right? Like this happening right now is like electric. And so if you want to add more to simply the hand, the electricity, every finger connects to an element, a charge, a fire, a watery charge, an airy spacey charge, an earth charge, a grounding charge. It's all right, you're tapping your fingers, sure. Or you're also commanding the centers of your elemental makeup that is connected to the universe that also has the same makeup. See what I mean? The practice is just deepening being a human being. And then you add the mantra. So sa, ta, na, ma. Those are seed sounds. Those are some of the first sounds that babies make. These are the elemental sounds. So every finger, and then they translate to the elements. So Sanskrit is so beautiful in the way that it is just the poetry of the body. Sa, ta, na, ma. Sa, ta, na, ma. So I can put this now in my lower chakras, lower sound. Sa, ta, na, ma. Or maybe you need more joy today and you want to feel more ethereal. Sa, ta, na, ma. You can go higher. So you're the medicine. You listen to you need, and you use these practices. Okay, I just was using my left hand that whole time. And the right side is the solar side. So I want to kind of activate now. Actually, I have a lot to do today. Maybe I need to have more direction, more focus. So I'm going to really emphasize my elemental command centers on my right side. Sa, ta, na, ma. Sa, ta, na, ma. Sa, ta, na, ma. And I want to be grounded about it today. So I'm actually going to slow it down and be low. Slow down the waveform. Sa, ta, na, ma. So it's practical mysticism. Sacred clap. If you're listening, thank you. I appreciate it. What do you think? Anything stick out? And please practice and let me know what happens. And don't take my word for it. Definitely just explore it on your own. And then if you would like some of the teachings, I just may have to make maybe a resource page. There's a lot of resources out there. And books are my favorite to connect to in ancient books. And sometimes, especially I think for feminines, Yogi Bhajan is a very sort of controversial character too. And some of the words can be just like any old book. I don't even want to make a disclaimer. Explore it on your own. But if I hope to bring a feminine sort of explanation to these teachings and like those, they are kind of like very much separate, like men and women. But the tantric teachings are not a teaching about men and women being um, as related to anatomy as the culture now. So if you do look into these teachings, and that makes that separation doesn't sit with you. That is also something that I really generally feel very sensitive to, and want to make that space very safe. Um, we are all both feminine and masculine dancing, and our temples have, all of us have individual unique needs, and so it's about harmonizing for your own stream and knowing as many tools or whatever, or even just a few tools that you practice a lot, is the best way, really. And so you harmonize, you bring yourself back, and so you're this complete container that can hold the water, the fire, the okay. Much love.